just try.
So I don't consider myself to be a singer-songwriter, and I don't really know why, because I think it's mainly because I went to art school first, and my parents came from a folk music tradition, and they were very much within this 60s singer-songwriter genre. The music that I got into that started me off in playing the guitar was originally really old rock and roll, rockabilly stuff. And then it went on to things like AC/DC and Zeppelin. And many other things, you know. This terminology of the singer-songwriter is, for me, very, very limited. For me, it represents this kind of whimsical, sort of hippie-esque guy with a guitar who's, you know, plays a certain type of song in a certain way, and that's one of the reasons why the next record I'm planning to make is away from the acoustic guitar, because I don't have any interest in being a singer-songwriter. I mean, I've got more interested in being a kind of, we were talking earlier on about video artists, you know, like how does a video artist go from making these weird little films, someone like Steve McQueen, into making these incredible films like Hunger and Shame, you know, where suddenly he's a filmmaker, but actually he's not really. He just happens to have made these films as well. So for me, it's like, if I could find a way of making records as art, or making art in a way which is just like my way of expressing my process of life, then that for me is enough to define me. So the question about being hauled in with this concept of singer-songwriter is the very thing that I've got no passion towards. I don't have a passion towards being a, you know, mid-40s singer-songwriter. I'm more interested in maybe doing something else. Anyone who's been to any of my live concerts will know that there's a lot of really rocking stuff. If you ever see the band play live, we're very, very involved in going from one extreme to the other extreme. And that's what interests me the most. How can you take people on an emotional journey from silence to complete and utter noise and chaos, and back to silence, back to chaos, back to silence, back to chaos, because that's the thing. And with beauty interweaved in between it, that's the ultimate aim for me. Every song has a purpose, you know. I mean, like, we were talking, I think, about my song Better, which was like my sort of hit song, if you like, which was written as a social experiment to see what it would be like to write a song which could be as universal as possible for the ultimate scenario, which is what's it like to be with someone that you acknowledge makes your life better, and therefore essentially you want to marry them, because that's what it means, you want to be with them. Now there comes a time in your life, as it did when that song was written. I wrote it with a very good friend of mine. He was about to get married. I was about to get married. We were in one of those perfect moments in our lives where that doesn't happen very many times in your life, where you've both met somebody and you both want to marry them. It's probably one of the most beautiful feelings, and it's one of the most beautiful things to do, to get married to someone. So we were kind of lucky in that emotional state, and we also needed to get a song on radio. So that put together created that song. But that's just that's one part of your life. You don't live into that feeling in your life or through your life, you know. You live into all these different feelings of, you know, separation. You live through a lot of disappointments. You live through a lot of things that didn't work out. I think anybody who comes up to me after a show and tells me how much that song meant to me, or they come up to me and go, oh, you know, we're playing that song at our wedding, and I can't tell you how much you've said everything, you know, we wanted to say to each other. I mean, of course that makes me feel incredibly happy, and it brings a smile to my face to see two people so happy. But then you'll get other people who come up to me and they'll talk about Half a Man, you know, like a song that they'll talk about how that made them, how it made them feel understood about the loss of someone, what it's like to feel suddenly like you've lost half of your being. You don't know who you are, where you are. You wake up in sleepless, cold sweats of panic, of trying to work out how are you going to sort your life out.
On a boat, sailing far in the ocean.
We're surrounded by all this kind of la-di-da-di-da entertainment, you know, everywhere you go, which is fantastic. You can be distracted so well in life. You only have to turn on the TV. I mean, how many people just spend their lives watching TV? What would life be like if there wasn't TVs anymore? You know, I don't know what people would do. You know, years ago it would have been pianos. There would have been pianos around houses, and that would have involved people. You know, that thing. So people would have come around, played the piano, and there would have been communities. I mean, there's just gradually we're all becoming like these people who are living in these little boxes, watching screens. You're thinking that you're broadening yourself, but in a funny sort of way, you're just spending your life attached to this thing. And particularly with being an artist, all the time, I cannot tell you how much I hear it with people who work in PR and marketing, and I understand. It's not like I have anything. I don't feel bad towards them. The emphasis and the pressure that they're on to get everybody to be doing all of these Twitter and Facebook things all the time, for me, counteracts the very point of what I'm doing, which is the point of what I'm doing is not about me being obsessed with having to continuously write on Twitter or Facebook, showing things about making little videos about this and twittering about that and twittering. It's just, I find it totally dull. I would be more interested in living in a little fishing village and going out on fishing boats regularly with my fishing friends, coming back, going to the pub, sitting around a piano and talking about, you know, the day and what John's doing, who works behind the bar. And I mean, it's just, immediately we all feel like we're all meant to be part of this thing, this big machine that's going like that. But is that what humans want? Is that what they want, to be on this kind of system all the time? I don't know. I feel like humans benefit most from community and like doing things, like even with being something I've realised about myself, which is being a musician, is I find it very frustrating because it's very cerebral. And actually I've got a body that I'm meant to use, you know, so I go swimming most days because I just have to expend this energy that I've got. You know, it's not meant to be just, you know, we're designed to be foraging for food and working on farms and ploughing our land. Now everyone's got backache because they're sitting in front of their computers. It's just, I think it's a weird way that we've all ended up.
I can't be tired, but I'm yawning on the edge of our bed. There lies a note with a drawing. It looks like you and me sailing our kite in the country. It's red.